Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all over the world. Dobson777a here. Well, I hope everybody's doing really well this Saturday evening. The topic today is going to be this potential silver short squeeze that the Reddit folks are trying to do. I got a feeling this one is not going to work because you're up against JP Morgan, you're up against the government likely funding JP Morgan. It's just, I got a feeling this is a problem. A lot of these guys, these are anarchists that are playing this game. They are thinking that they can take down a big company or companies or governments. They don't have an exit strategy, folks. So they don't care if they win or lose. They're just trying to make a difference. It's likely not going to work. If you're going to play this game, you got to be prepared to understand that this could be catastrophic to your finances. I've already talked about multiple times before that silver is this troublesome, impossible trade to play. This is one of those things where I've shown you on the charts over and over again where silver will peak, and as fast as it peaks, it collapses, where gold holds up. So you've got to not get greedy. You got to sell into these mania type things. And I want you to just understand that this is, you can't beat the high speed trading that occurs on this stuff. It's a problem. Yeah, platinum, I think, is a more sure bet. I also, some folks have been sending me comments. Essential Oils was one of them, and another guy sent me an email as well. And he says, hey, Robinhood is not allowing people to buy more than like one share of SLV. So, you know, the game is rigged anyways. And I actually commented back to the guy that sent me an email today. And I said, look, folks, if you're really getting in now, you're actually kind of getting in late. If you're going to be a contrarian investor, you should have been in over a year ago. I've been trying to get the word out anyways, but I still argue physicals are the way to go for the bulk of it. If you want to play in the like stocks and or options realm, it should be a much smaller percentage of your holdings. And gold is by far the safest play. I see what you're saying there, Carlos. And at some point, you're going to have to play this smartly, because you don't want to be left, you know, where some people are going to be buying $50 silver thinking it's really valuable at that point, when in fact it's overvalued, and they're going to end up holding it for a decade or more. So I am very, very concerned for anybody that is trying to play up against the big guys. And it remains to be seen, even on this GameStops, how that's going to play out, because when you're playing the options, you can always just swap to other options, or you can buy more, which will offset your losses. So who can hold out longest? That's the game here. I think this is a game you don't want to play. The way you play it is the physicals, folks. You got to just get it off the table, get your money off the table, get in the physicals. Play a little bit in the paper side, even though you're buying real companies, like in the miners, for instance. It's a tangible asset. You're buying physical gold in the ground. Yeah, physical is the way to go. Hey, thank you, Jesse Toey. Nice contribution there. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. That is a true statement. So anyways, I wanted that to be the topic. I'm just kind of warning you. This is a serious game that some folks are playing, and it's possible they may be able to do something here, but I'm just I'm concerned for you to make sure you understand this. This should not be like betting the house on this. If you want to go throw a little bit in and try to get some money, but some of these folks, they don't care. Like I said, they don't have an exit strategy. This is really truly is dumb money that's playing here. So be careful. You don't want to be a lemming going off the cliff with these guys. Anyways, let's read off who we got here so far. So we got Greg Steinberg, Essential Oil Stories, FE Free 4A, Chris, Carlos, and Luna, and Aftermath. All right, let me read some comments here. I'm listening, but I'm cooking. Yeah, Peter Schiff is thinking it's not going to fly either. I have not had a chance to listen to some of his stuff. I used to, like when I was processing rabbits, I'd turn something like his on because he goes on for like an hour or more, but I just don't have time lately. What if the big banks decided they want it to ride higher? Maybe they can make a lot letting it go higher. They could. Definitely swapping silver to gold when the ratio drops is a smart move if you can do it with the premiums. I did look at the premiums earlier today, and silver is running about 18 to 20%, which is on the high side. Okay, a little bit on the high side because in normal times it's maybe 15%. Gold is running about 6% premiums, which is on the high side. In good times, it's about 3.5%. And platinum was like 25% or something. It was really high. Now, this is off the top of my head, so don't quote me on it, but I was using that tool that I've got that goes out and looks at all of these things. And it's quite interesting to see the premiums are pretty high right now on all of the metals, platinum especially. So let's see, we got Bob Ott is here. Good evening. CJDOIG45 is here. AUA Man is here. So they could create a false flag and shut down everything to roll out the digital dollar. I think it's really interesting when you see these larger companies that are supposed to be, they hyped themselves. Robinhood hyped themselves for the little guy, but you can see they rolled over to the big guys right away. And so you can tell that they are not there for you. I have not heard Fidelity, which is, by the way, the company I've been with forever, and I don't get paid by them or anything, but I'm just going to tell you, I've been with Fidelity for 35 years, 40 years. I don't know. It's been a long dang time. And I've never seen anything like this done by Fidelity. Have I heard that the U.S. Mint halted sales of silver and gold eagles to dealers nationwide? I have not heard that. I'll have to make a note and go look to see if that's the case. I will tell you that the way you're wording that may not be correct. It could be that there's a shortage, that people are out there buying it and there's a huge demand. And therefore, it may be that they're out of the blanks. That happened the last year at the COVID. They did not have enough of, and I forget, maybe they're not called blanks, but the things that they use for actually stamping the coins are made by certain mints, and those may not be available, or they've been sold out and they got too much demand. So let's see, shorting gold Monday morning. Okay, well, you can try that. TD Ameritrade put on certain restrictions. Yeah, they're one of the smaller ones, and those are for I think they're trying to protect their clients, but it doesn't seem like that's their role. That should not be their role. Next, they're going to force us all into bonds to protect us too. So I did, for those of you that are not members, I want you to know that I did a pretty substantial report the other night that I released to members, and I'm analyzing, I did an analysis of not all of them, probably more than half of the holdings for the improved portfolio. And I added a new miner position, a large gold miner. So the portfolio is being finalized. Probably have one more report to do the rest of the positions, and I'll probably be adding another position in that report as well. But I always try to get my portfolio completed by the middle of February. So I've got like 2 more weeks and it may not be absolutely completed, because every once in a while when I'm doing my analysis, I stumble on a new position. Like last year, if you remember, I did the analysis of all the royalty companies, and we added like 3 different royalty companies, just a little bit of money. They were like micro royalties, and 1 or 2 of those actually panned out very nicely. The other 2 have not come in yet, but I expect we were just early, and that's okay to be early. We didn't lose any money, but we haven't necessarily made any money like some of the other positions we have. So I just want you to know that the portfolio is being finalized. And I've given a lot of information in that report the other day that the gold and platinum members actually have access to. I forgot to look before this live stream to see how many actually viewed that report. I was actually surprised there weren't any comments on that because I spent a lot of time on that. All right, let's see. I got a million comments here. Justin Gabriel is here. You think silver will go down again, or is this finally happening? I started this live stream saying that I think you're fighting an infinite electronic funny money here that could be funded by our treasury. So I don't think you're going to be able to overcome this like trade stops, which the government could care less, not trade stops, game stops. So going against SLV is going against our currency. Likely they might consider that, and therefore the government's probably actually telling these companies to clamp down and not allow people to go after it. So that's really what you're fighting. It's not, you're fighting the government, U.S. government, which has infinite funds available to it to do whatever they want with the precious metals. So think about that if you're going to go play this game. I think they did a dinky little company as a test, and I think now they're trying to write checks that they can't cash. Is probably the easiest way to explain this. So think about how that might work out. So do I think Apple, Samsung, all the people using the industry would have to get on it? So think about this. Silver is only 20 to 30% money. The rest of it's industrial. So, you know, when they pull silver out of the ground, only, 20, 30% of it moves towards money or jewelry or, like silverware and that kind of items. Money is a really small percentage of silver versus gold is like 90% money. Only 10% of it is approximately what I would consider industrial usage. So I don't think you're going to see a shortage industrial wise unless they actually shut the mines down again because of COVID and stuff. Then that causes a significant shortage. Last year, we had a shortage of what they call manufactured silver, which is strictly the, when they take the blanks and stamp them out and make coins. There wasn't a physical shortage for industry. And of course, industry was kind of shut down anyway. So they weren't making a lot of stuff. So we really didn't end up with a physical shortage of silver. So Bobot picked up a U.S. miner. That sounds like a micro miner. Remember, when you have these other guys hyping this stuff on these other channels, look at if they are a seller of the precious metals. If they are, they kind of have a twisted view of the world and a manipulative type view. Guys, I'm not selling anything to you. I'm not selling any metals. I don't have to push the metals. I don't have to push, extreme premiums. I'm trying to give you an independent analysis and also the historical view that I've seen of a lot of this stuff and understand that, help you understand the bigger picture, which I think a lot of folks aren't seeing. Now, are they going to get away with it? You never know. You never know. It's hard to say. I don't see that these nickel dime guys are out there. I mean, they could have made some money on And think about this: when they start bailing out of I already forgot the name. Was it stocks? No, that's not the name of it. Anyways, when they bail out of that stock, somebody's going to left holding the bag, and it's going to be people that got late. That thing's going to crash harder than it ever was, and those hedge fund companies are going to make a freaking killing. And so they actually made their case where the companies shorting those stocks are going to make even more, because I'm sure they bought, when that thing ran up to $300, they probably bought a hell of a lot more shorts, because that thing's got, GameStop, it's got nowhere else to go but down, folks. That is not a real price for that stock. So a whole bunch of people are going to get cleaned, their clock cleaned. So it's going to be an interesting thing where, and by the way, I read an article the other day, and this is an interesting thing. You know, we got all these guys that have been nothing but making money this past year, playing games just like this, and all of a sudden now they got to go pay the taxes. And a lot of them have not been in this position where all of a sudden they realize what capital gains are, because they're doing like day trading, which is not the same approach that I play. I'm a long-term investor, folks. I try to be contrarian. I get out there in advance and I let the money just roll in. There's usually only at one point that I'm converting from something that's overvalued to undervalued, and it could be like once every 10 years. It's rare that I'm going to be doing anything on a shorter period than that. Where these guys that are doing day trading, they've got quite a tax bill to pay. And it's because capital gains on short term are way higher than longer term. And it also has to be how much money you made and everything, what the capital gains are, that kind of stuff. So there's going to be some very, very surprised folks comes tax time. And, you know, these clowns could have been out buying fancy cars and everything else, just like I've seen people when the government passed out all of this stimulus, you know, they went on vacations and stuff instead of buying food or precious metals. So this is going to be a major issue come tax time. Yeah, capital gains can eat your lunch. And if you already spent what you thought were profits and then you got to go pay taxes, that's going to be a problem. No, it can't be Biden's fault, folks. Look, this is all Trump's fault. Remember, Trump did everything. He was the bad guy here, right? That's what everybody's been telling us for 4 years. He's, you know, obviously it's still his fault. It can't be Biden's fault. He's only been on the job for a week, right? Yeah, I don't know. I try not to give individual advice. I just try to tell you the various options that are playing out, how they're playing out, and how I see it, and likely what's going to happen. I mean, I watched quite a few videos today of some fairly smart people, and I think this is going to turn out way worse. This is like, remember, when you're doing this, this is kind of like a little skirmish that's occurred. So you've got a skirmish that's occurred, but the battle and the war is still going on. You don't know what GameStop is going to be until it's over. More than likely, the guys with the big bucks, they just throw more bucks on the table, or they roll it over to another option. So there's lots of games they can do this. The people that are playing this game, they don't understand the game and the risk that they're taking. Well, think about this. Some of these companies like E-Trade and others, they are going to potentially get wiped out if these guys can't pay. When you are playing in the options realm, you can have, if you don't know what the hell you're doing, you could have like an infinite loss. And that is where you're going to have, you know, if enough people are taking these high risk trades and you don't have these companies having the margins set up correctly, not only are these people going to be wiped out, but the company could be wiped out as well. I don't think markets are going to freeze up and crash, but I would say, remember, I put all my chips on the table back in 2018, folks. I really haven't done anything else except refine my positions. So I've shown you how I'm invested. You see my live portfolio if you're a member, gold and or platinum member. So I'm showing you what I'm doing. And it's something that I've known for a long time that we've been in fraudulent markets. And so I've moved tangible. I've shared that. I can't be any more open than what I've done. And it's because I feel like they have a harder time. And at some point it may crash. I don't know. It's just insurance, folks. There is a small chance that this is going to crash, but more than likely, as I've shared, this has been a managed reset. Can they lose control? Well, think about who's in charge now. These good grief. It seems like, we put the clowns back in office. So who knows? They could try to take the thing down. They don't seem like they're love our country. So when you got people in charge that don't love our country, look out below. And that's why you protect yourself. Just think of the precious metals as insurance. And you hope that you never have to use insurance. You hope your house never burns down. But if you got insurance, it keeps you from, going down. So that's all I can say. Yeah, I saw the contribution they made to Janet Yellen, and that's the problem. Everybody's bought off. I mean, we know that you're fighting a losing battle in this whole thing. So just try to get as much money out of the system as possible. That's all you can do. Put it in tangible things that are readily valuated. If you think that GameStop at $300 is a proper price for that company, you have no clue how to evaluate a company. I mean, it's just a swap meet, that doggone company, and for it to be worth, I forget what it is, something like as much as Apple or something, is insane, folks. So a lot of these, they're called unicorn companies at this point. That stock probably need to be reevaluated down, not up. But remember, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here to tell you that we're going to take over the world and everything. I'm trying to tell you how to be a savvy investor and how to manage risk and how to just, remember, the miners doubled their money in 2 years. I'm surprised more people haven't been on here saying, holy crap, that was unbelievable, but that's what it's done. And, gold was up, I'm off the top of my head. I did this video the other day. What was it? Gold is up 40% or something over 2 years. Silver's up 60 something percent. Platinum was up 30%. So it's when you look over the 2-year period, this has been unbelievable returns compared to the S&P 500. You got to be foolish sitting in the S&P 500 unless you're, picking out certain stocks individually. But just to buy the SPY or something, you're backing up compared to what we've got on the what we've got in the miners and everything. They got some new names in here. Let's see. Patriot Man is here. Danny Sidner. GNELK. I don't know. I don't think that's a name. Must be acronym for something. Edgewater Heating is here. Into Oblivion. Yep, S&P's 12%. I haven't looked at it with dividends lately to see what it was, but yeah, actually, I didn't talk about the dividends, but I've noticed the dividends are increasing on the majority of our holdings right now too. So that's just wait. I did a calculation. I put it in the description of my videos a lot of times too, talking about the dividends if they were equivalent to what happened in the 1930s, with the amount of stocks that I'm holding, gold and silver stocks. I conceivably could see a payout in the millions of dividends if it was equivalent to inflation this year, compared to 1933. So keep that in mind. If the gold goes parabolic, let's say 25,000 or something, you are going to see unbelievable dividends in these miners, because guess what? They can't buy enough companies to keep mining everything, so they start paying it back to the shareholders, and the dividends are insane. People, you just don't understand what's going to happen. And so, if you see inflation through the roof, these things are going to be able to pay your rent. They're going to be able to pay your real estate taxes, your income taxes, everything. The dividends are going to be unbelievable. So that's another reason why you don't need a lot of money in the miners, but you just need a little bit in there. And again, it's another form of insurance. Yeah, they may have doubled. Well, I know, but you're picking out a low. You can't really do that. If you did it from the beginning of the year, silver was up 60% from the beginning of 2020 to the end of 2020. Danny Sidiner, I don't remember what I said, man. I've been talking about a lot of stuff. It's more than insurance when the price is extremely suppressed. I don't think it's more than insurance. It is currency insurance. That's exactly what you're doing. Hey, DW. Remember, I take calculated risks, and that's part of my contrarian type investing. And so far, just like in 2012, I took a contrarian risk and I was buying real estate when everybody was selling. And I was buying things at 50% or more discount. I mean, like $40 a square foot, where a lot of the houses now are $150 a square foot. The same houses. So you've got to, when there's blood in the streets, you've got to be buying. But when everybody's greedy, that's when the heck you get out. Now nobody's greedy yet. No. They did not publicly state the world's silver supply will be depleted by 2025. I actually did a video talking about all this. That was bogus. Go look at my silver lies. I've got a video out there that talks about this. That's one of them. That's a false statement. In fact, it shows that the reserves for silver have been doubling like every couple of years because they constantly find more and more. So we're not going to be depleted. That's another thing where people are not looking at the details. I probably need to pull that thing out and go through this. Another one that they talk about is that they're only mining like 8 times the silver as gold, and we have currently like the gold silver ratio is 70 something, and so they're acting like that's some kind of suppression, but you got to dig a little deeper. And again, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm trying to give you really good, solid advice. And remember, they're only going to mine what they need. So, and the guy was saying, obviously, the government's dumping silver in the market to suppress it and everything, but that's not really what the case is. They only need so much silver. And silver is very easy to mine. It's mined as a byproduct. And we used to have a bunch of silver mines, but they weren't profitable as silver by themselves. But it's very easy to pull it out, when they're mining copper and lead and zinc. I forget what all other metals. So a very large percent, I think it's 70 something percent or 80% of silver is mined as a byproduct. And so they're kind of pulling it out of the ground free while they're getting the other stuff. So right now, don't think that there's necessarily a suppression going on, although you could argue JP Morgan and other folks are trying to manage the price of silver, just like they manage the price of gold. But you can see that they're releasing this stuff as it can be, when oil goes up, you got to give the miner some extra money because it costs more to mine it. So they're trying to allow them to just be profitable, but reasonable. There really isn't any need for billions of more ounces of silver to show up. And because guess what? If they did that, then the price of silver would collapse to nothing because it wouldn't be nearly as valuable. Yeah, everybody thinks that JP Morgan has tons of silver. I often wonder if that's actually the bank's customers' silver. And just like I've suggested on this channel, the silver is a trade, folks. Gold is actually the investment. So if silver decides to go parabolic, you need to be unloading. Don't be buying into the parabolic move. You need to be selling because it collapses as fast as it rises. Anyway, 65 people. We got an active group on here tonight. I figured that title would get people going. So what do you think? Do you think I'm right? Do you think this is not going to happen because you're fighting a treasury with infinite money? I mean, remember, they can just flip a switch and put any number of digits to crush any shorts or anything that people are doing. The government can do anything they want. They're going to protect the currency. You know they will. I don't think it's the second most used commodity in the world, but okay. Well, don't look at the dollar premium. You look at the percentage. It's when I was looking today on gold, gold was at like a 6% premium instead of the normal 3.5% under normal time. So it's a little bit high. Silver was running like 18 to 20%, and platinum was running at like 25%. Silver is an impossible trade. So I'm just going to tell you, don't get greedy because then you're going to be left holding the bag because it drops. And remember, when it flips over to the other side, everybody's going to be selling and nobody's going to be buying, folks. And that's how people got stuck with $50 silver last time. There will be no buyers. And that's what's going to happen with GameStop. 300 bucks. I mean, think about it right now. GameStop's at 300 bucks. Who's going to buy at 300 bucks? Yeah, Corolla, I've actually been kind of saying that I don't think the government's going to allow SLV to get out of control. They got infinite dollars that they can apply here, and they can apply pressure on all of these trading platforms to raise margins, everything else. And so that's what they're going to do, mostly because these trading platforms don't want to go broke. Yeah, I think you're right. And by the way, there were a lot of dang resellers or money changers, you want to call it. They got stuck with $50 silver too. So they're not going to want to play on this game too. So you're not going to be able to get rid of this unless you find another sucker. I agree. I think if you're going to play this, you need to have the physical in your hand, but silver's a tough one, folks. And remember, it costs you $100 to ship your silver somewhere to sell it, unless you find somebody locally. If you have a monster box, I don't know how many people are playing in monster boxes, but I shared that beginning of last year. They're for $50 or 50 pounds. You try figuring out how you're going to ship something that's 50 pounds and actually maybe, right now it's $16,000 for a monster box. How are you going to ship that if it's worth $100,000? That's a hell of a lot of insurance and everything. That could cost you a bloody fortune. That's going to be eating into your profits. Yeah, a lot of people aftermath. Just think about, if we do see the gold silver ratio collapse, is there anybody that's going to want to buy your silver? And then is there going to be any gold available to buy? I've heard gold supplies are getting yeah, but you need to put insurance on that too. So I should go up there to the U.S. Post Office and go ask them what the insurance rates are. It's been a long time. Actually, it may be on the website. It's been a while. You can count on it being a minimum of $100. All the dealers tell you to use U.S. Post Office because those guys all have pensions, and they actually put them in a locked bag if it's a certain value, and that thing is tracked. And if anything happens, they'll know who screwed around. And most of these guys are not going to risk their pensions and stuff. So U.S. Post Office is the way to go. But, sometimes you're shipping all the way across the country to some of these dealers, online dealers, and you could be waiting a while for your money if everybody's doing this. And at some point, they're just going to shut it down. They're going to say, nope, they've been burnt enough to know not to take these orders. So at some point, there's going to be a no buy situation. And that's how you're going to get stuck with $50 or more silver. Yeah, that's what happens. The fear of missing out. These people start buying when it gets parabolic. They think it's more valuable when it's at 35, and they wouldn't even touch it when it was 12. So that's the problem. Yeah, but into oblivion, I bet you the companies themselves have internal insurance as well. It's not just they don't care necessarily about the post office. They put the minimum on it. But I will tell you, that's probably their deductible for their regular insurance. I actually had done several videos on Vic's Weir, and he is kind of like way out there, folks. So I'm going to tell you right now, I I quit watching him because he's just like, I think he gets a little bit into the wacky weed or something. So I don't know. There's several people out here that are not necessarily the way I would follow things. Remember, I'm kind of a conservative investor. All right, I've tried to tell you that. I take what the market can give me, and I get out there early, and I look at history, and I'm following how history does it, and I make it kind of like a fairly conservative investor that way. And I think it shows. Now I've gotten a little spicy in our portfolio, okay? And you have to admit, some of these have paid off. We've gotten into some micro miners that I did not do the first year, but we got into the second year. Although VNNHF was in the first year, we did pick that up. But the second year, we've picked up some others, and we've hit some home runs. So I think that it is. But again, I'm playing with a small part of the portfolio here. So I'm still, when you look at when I'm doing some of these micros, it's a very small part of the portfolio, but it's really helped our returns out by doing that. And I pay for a lot of intelligence. Okay, I don't claim to be super bright, but I've been following this stuff for a long time, and I pay for intelligence from a number of well-known, highly reputable newsletters that have helped me significantly improve our odds. So that's what I do. It's funny how certain things are blocked by useless to, because this guy just wrote Bix is a nut. Well, what is that that's inflammatory or foul language or anything? I mean, but yet it flagged it. So I just released it because I'm like, there's nothing there. Yeah, Cliff High is another one. He's a little bit off the wall, so sorry. Don't follow him either. So 490 for up to $5,000 plus 90 cents per $100 after that. Okay, good. Thanks for looking that up. And Jay Pong's putting some information in here. They're waiting for the certain crypto here. Silver is the only commodity in the world that is less than a 1980 high. But you know, the funny thing is, you say that, but you see how gold fluctuates. And remember, they're pulling silver out of the ground free now. So I don't understand why people don't understand this. They think that just because it's low, that it's intentionally being suppressed. I don't look at it that way. It's just like it's not rare, folks. They only pull out what they need, and that's the error in logic everybody has. Do you think when gas oil is cheap, they process the low grade oil, and when it's high, they process the high grade oil? Actually, sometimes this low grade oil, it takes way more energy to crack it and do everything you got to do, and maintenance of the plants and everything. So I think they prefer not to do the low grade oil. And that's why they really didn't want to bring that Canadian tar sand stuff down here, because that stuff's god awful. You probably can only use that stuff on the roads. So I think there's a reason why. That's just kind of nasty stuff, but I'm not sure. I don't, you'd have to be all the way in the middle of the industry to know what the actual costs are for breaking that stuff down into the different elements. But I would say that obviously the better grade oil you get, and if you can get it at a reasonable price out of the ground, you'd want to just play with that rather than the stuff that corrodes everything and takes a ton of energy to. Because remember, you make jet fuel, you make diesel, you make stuff that you need for heating oil. You make all this stuff is from the oil, and there's only a certain percentage of each depending on the grade of the oil. So it is a huge industry. And by the way, if all of a sudden we're using a lot less gas, what do you do with the excess gas when you're still making it for other things like plastics and everything else? You're going to have this gas, but you got to use it for something. Otherwise, in the past, gas was actually a byproduct they didn't use, like in the early 1900s. They were dumping it on the ground. They were dumping it in rivers, all this stuff, until somebody said, hey, why don't we, design an engine out of this? And then they started using the gasoline. I'm not necessarily against the Keystone Pipeline, but it has to make financial sense. And sometimes we do things for political reasons, not necessarily for business reasons. So I think that it's not for us to decide. It's for businesses to decide. And I hate it when politics gets in the middle of this. Somebody must have thought that the pipeline made sense, but you never know. We're not in the middle of this. We don't get all the data to understand how that works. Yeah, but the Keystone Pipeline was primarily tar sands. And remember, Berkshire Hathaway bought all the rail lines for transporting that oil over rail. Traders Batcave says the bull cycle is about over. What bull cycle? For stocks in general or for the precious metals? I think the precious metals is a 10-year cycle. Oh, stock's not PM. Hey, by the way, it's funny. Everybody's so worried about this pipeline. Have you ever looked at the map of the U.S. of all the pipelines we've got? It is unbelievable how many pipelines there are. And so all of a sudden, everybody's upset about one pipeline, yet we got pipelines crisscrossing the whole dang country. It's amazing to me when you look at these maps. They just happen a little bit at a time and you don't realize. So like I said, if you want to go play in this area a little bit, especially with, and by the way, you better make sure you know what you're doing with options. Like I said, although some of the margins and everything are being tightened up. So, but you better know what you're doing. You know, play a little bit, play money, but be prepared. I think some of these guys are doing, we're trying naked calls and stuff, and those are the ones that can hurt you really bad. So be careful. So look, I'm going to tell you right now, I made a lot of money 1 year on one trade because I bought a newsletter for options. And so I don't remember how much I invested. Let's say I invested $10,000 or something. Because to me, I had a 401k and I had set some into and moved some into an IRA so I could go do something like this. And I'm gonna tell you that $10,000, I probably made 50,000 in one day on that 10,000. And I called the guy up because I said, you know, this was kind of cool. I like this. This looks like something that's really going to work good. Can you send me all your trades for like the last year? I want to go through this and make sure this is really what I want to do. Because just because you do it one time doesn't mean this is something that you're going to get every time. And, you know, some people get to gambling and they think they're going to. So look, I'm going to tell you something right now. This was really interesting. I probably should bring up that spreadsheet. I know I can find it. But I took all his trades for the last year, and I found out if you had executed the same amount, say you put $1,000 on each one of the trades, and then, you know, any of the winnings you had, you rolled it into the next thing and kept going. It turns out he made no money over the last year. And so I sat there and I looked at, oh my God, I just, you know, luckily I only put $10,000 on it. That's a lot of money for most people, but I was sitting there looking at it. It was in an IRA, and I just got lucky, and I made most of my gain for the year just on that one trade. But I sat there and I ended up calling him up and I said, I got to cancel this service because I'm not here to, you know, just do. He said, but wasn't it fun? I go, no, I'm not here to gamble. I'm here to try to make money consistently. But you just are creating a bunch of work and you don't have a winning approach. And so everybody should be made aware of this. He ended up refunding my money. I'm gonna tell you, it was I think it was a couple $1,000s for this newsletter, but I was so happy that I had done my homework. And now, you know, normally you can sign up for these things and you have 30 days to evaluate. The first thing I do when I sign up for these things, I go and ask for their last 12 months of trades, and I'll go do that analysis. And I'm gonna tell you what, the majority of the things before I even make a trade, I'm out. I say, forget it. These guys don't know what they're doing. But people will just, you know, they'll get lucky and they'll double down on it and they end up losing it. It's kind of like Vegas. We're not gamblers. Okay, we're investors. So I'm just going to tell you, I've done a lot of things over the years, but I learn very quickly. And, you know, there was a saying on the Patriot, you know, aim small to hit small. So that's what I do. I actually do have a newsletter that I trust. It's like a retirement options type trading, and it's a very safe type trading. And the guy has very good returns. But right now, like I said, I'm all in on the precious metals, miners, and real estate because I think this is a sure bet. And at some point, when things stabilize, I may actually start playing in the options a little bit because there's a way that you can potentially, let's say I could make a couple $100 a week playing the options. So that's more than likely what I'm going to do. Just small stuff, just add to my lunch money, you know. Yeah, I used to have Martin Armstrong, but I found a much better new group of newsletters. I actually still am a member of 3 or 4 different newsletters, but I think I told you I'm a alliance member with Stansberry, and they are the largest. And there's a handful that I've evaluated of what they hold, and I've been very pleased with the quality of the products that they have out there. Yeah, if you look at Traders Batcave, if you look at our um, what do you want to call it, improved portfolio, you will see we're in early on a lot of these things, and it's because I'm front running a lot of miners that these newsletters eventually will choose. So we get like a top 50 listing and analysis, and they usually only pick the top 10. So I look at like the next 5 or 6, and I've handpicked some of those, and we've hit several winners on those already. So, um, but the members know that. Well, it's been about an hour. Any last questions? It's late for me. I didn't get on here till late. I was watching some Longmire. I'm addicted to that. I got 1 season left, so that means there's probably 13 episodes left. Bilbo Stackins is in the house. Patriot Man, see you. Yeah, like I said, I'm sharing what I am doing, and if you're stuck in an IRA, I give you a free portfolio with ETFs that did very well. It's just running a few percentage points behind the improved portfolio, and I got a feeling it's going to run way behind this year because we're dropping the ETFs out of the improved portfolio. Corolla, I got another month before I do potatoes, but I actually started some eggs because I'm starting some chicks to replace my chickens. So I'll be doing some videos about that. I've got probably a couple of weeks, a little less than 2 weeks before my chickens start hatching, and it's time to replace my older hens. They're slowing way down now. But as far as the garden, I mean, we're down in the 20s right now, so there's not a really good time to grow anything right now. I did start my garlic in December, and that's all coming up perfectly. He's so pissed when you see BTG. I sold all his shares at 215 a long time ago because a guy told me to buy only physical. I don't know what BTG is. It's not ringing a bell. French black copper Morans. Oh, B2 gold. Okay, gotcha. Well, actually, we've had some very warm weather, and a lot of times in the wintertime, it's not so much the cold. It's just my chickens are over 2 years old now. So I usually replace my chickens at 2 years. And so it's going to be probably 5, 6 months before, they're old enough to start laying eggs. So this is the time to do it. So by summer, I'll have processed my older hens, make them dog food, and my new ones will be replacing them. I'll keep the rooster. The rooster is good for several more years. But anyways, we'll see. But I put a light on mine in the wintertime. You can extend the days because the days are shorter, so they definitely slow down in their egg laying. But I've got a couple of them that are dropping these. You ever heard of fairy eggs? They're like teeny tiny little eggs, like about that size. And when you start seeing your chickens doing that, that tells you they're starting to sputter. And that's what's starting to happen with mine. And you'll have a couple chickens just absolutely quit laying. And so you end up feeding chickens for doing nothing for you. So yeah, it's a cycle of life. Time to move out with the old, in with the new. Yeah, I'm hatching my own eggs. I'm gonna do another video. I'll add it at the end of one of my gold silver videos. In fact, I do want to I'll give you some heads up, some of the things I'm working on. Do you remember some of the silver things that I bought? I've been researching the best way to polish silver goblets and such. And so I've actually purchased a few things, and I've done some trial runs with things. And so I'm going to show you my experience that I've had in trying to remove, tarnish off of, like creamers and sugar things and teapots and, platters. And I got some plated stuff. So I'm playing with those because those aren't really valuable, but it gives you something to practice with. But right now I've got some things that you dip in this silver tarnish remover solution that gets rid of the tarnish, and then you use the polish to get it nice, bright, shiny. So that's what, and then it actually puts a protective coating on it. Yeah, it doesn't get into the 20s very often, but I think we woke up to 27 this morning, and we might have seen down in 24, 23. But we had, Tarnex is what I use, but I bought some other stuff now that's for the polish and also leaves a protective coating, so it's less likely to retarnish again quickly. Australorps, yeah, those are good chickens. I do Rhode Island Reds because they're multi-purpose. You can, they're a good eating hen as well as cold tolerant and egg layers, nice brown eggs. They're fantastic. All right, so that's about it. So I hope everybody's treating you well. I hope you're doing well. Do the best you can. God bless.